As usual, I'll start out rolling a die. Tonight I got birdie. What happened last time?
Let's see. So, last time, where's my notes leave off? Last time Alara mentioned to everyone some of the things that she'd learned from her elvish or her ranger friends, including the fact that Carnvaldar was in danger, I believe. And then they decided to travel instead of investigating the skeletons. They decided to travel and see if they could work on that instead. I don't have the name of the city we're going to. I remember we met a group of dwarves and Thornland got all excited because, hey, dwarves! So he greets them, and they don't speak a word of Dwarvish. They spoke Common, and he was horrified. And then further horrified to discover that they are makers of apple cider and have never been mining in their lives. And are completely un-Dwarvish, and he was just quite put out. So we escorted them to Griff's Bluff. And we were paid for escorting them. They gave us a bit of information about things that they had heard of or seen. And then we're continuing on to meet with... I think I lost a page in my notes. I know we're going to court to meet with someone important to talk about a quest. But we were coming up with a plan of how to do it.
Yeah, so, yeah, like you said, you sort of confirmed one another's worst fears when you spoke to the ranger captain, Cenarian, at the Black Oak Ruins. Because she confirmed that there is something going on with this blight that you've seen, with the rise of the goblins and everything, and was able to kind of identify the potential existence of this demon, a demon that could take the sword of Griff and abscond with it, as more than likely being related to something happening in one of your ancestors' sites, these towers, what were called the Towers of the Builders. Of the Elder Days. And there's one of these north of the Black Spine Mountains. And this mercenary company, what was once a mercenary company of basically highwaymen, has started to take on a more cult-like activity over time. Can you hear us, Steve? Or let's see if we can hear you.
Yeah,
Nice.
Why my microphone wasn't working on my headphones, but so I'm using the computer.
Great.
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I subjected the headphones to the Universal Space Program, and they made their way to the other side of the room. So
Nice. I mean, I'm sorry that's happening, but
didn't quite achieve escape velocity.
So, anyways, yeah, so you realize there's this major threat, but basically these people that you met that have this other sword, the sword of Sir Brandon, were like, yeah, that's fine and all, but we want to help this Shire of Hobbits that we helped. Their wall is down and we want to help them. So they've been struggling to find support while these hobbits are surrounded by goblin tribes to find something that will help protect them with the wall that has protected them for generations, partially destroyed. And so the hope of going to, and his name is Baron Edric von Hillsborough, the Marcher Lord of Griff's Bluff. He's the boss here in Griff's Bluff. And you haven't been able to get an audience with him until finally Sister Greta, who herself seems to be at odds with him, has said, you know what? Fine. I'll get you an audience with the Baron himself at court. And so you've been waiting for 3 days, and you went to the wash and gathered rumors, and you've washed all your stuff up and everything so that you could be presentable. Those of you who have fancy outfits from the Shire, you can assume that those have been washed and prepared and everything, and you look all nice and everything for court, including Knob and Squints. Yeah, you've been doing that for the past 3 days, waiting for the court. And this is the second time the adventurers have been in this strange land at a court of strangers whose agendas you do not know, hoping to try to press a decision on something you know is important, at least important to you in the context of all these different factions and all the things that they're trying to accomplish. And the day for the court is now. Last session, it was 22 days into the Evening Lands and the 6th of Good Month, and it is now the 25th day of your adventure in the Evening Lands, and the 9th of Good Month. So the time of the court has come. Before we hop straight in there, though, we'll start the day of in Griff's Bluff. Is there anything that you want to do before you have this audience with the Baron? I imagine that this works like the things I've seen. You'll come in and you'll announce yourself, or someone will announce you. You'll have a bunch of people in there drinking and talking, and then you'll rotate with your concerns, and there will be different concerns that are being, presented to the Baron, and that's kind of what's going to be happening today.
Well, I just want to compare notes with, because it's Sister Greta that's getting us the audience. I assume she's accompanying us as well.
No.
Oh, I'd like to bring her along as a witness.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, kids.
I'd like to ask her to come and... What was that, Steve?
I said, good luck with that, kids.
Right. Have fun storming the castle.
Knight Commander Felipe will be there.
The Knight Commander will be there. Well, he counts. I mean, he believes our story, and he knows that I've got a magical sword, and he's seen, we've enough, I guess. I was hoping for her witness as to the existence and potential importance of Brandonsford, because she's visited it before. But she won't come, no matter what.
Probably you would need to ask around.
Yes.
Gaining an audience even with her is not at a moment's basis sort of affair. Okay. So,
well, we'll just have to rely on.
Who would you ask about that? Like, in the convening days, the past 3 days, who would you check to see who would attend and try to find out?
Well, I would ask her primarily, and the day that she said she could obtain an audience for us, or in the it would start whenever her time allowed. Anyway, I would say, this is what I need to say to the Baron. We need to say, Brandonsford represents this that and the other thing in the history of Griff's Vale. It's directly connected to the history of it, and could be directly connected to the success of to the prosperity of Griff's Bluff. They can help each other out.
I'll just kind of pan the camera over into the temple area where you'd be trying to get this audience. You didn't ask when you were talking to her, so this would have happened sometime in the last 3 days, probably on the second day. That you go and try to ask her about these things, and to prepare for this meeting, you find that she's not there, but Knight Commander Felipe is, and the various guards in the commandery that is nearby. So at the commandery, the lieutenant to Felipe, he says, I understand, sir, and we will accompany you to court to announce your deeds in the hinterlands, of course. But I'm afraid that Sister Greta is not here.
Where is she gone?
Well, she took to travel to the west, actually. Actually took several guards with her. There's only one city to the west, that'd be Rebek. It's a strange time to have the mother of the church head off to the west to Rebek. He spits, on the ground. He says Rebek, the enemies of his people, and he says it doesn't bode well. Well, I'll tell you, sir, to be honest with you. Actually, I'm going to roll reaction roll. He may not tell you this. But I do know you have a bonus. Plus, what's your charisma bonus?
Well, my charisma's 15, so I guess it's a +1.
Yeah, okay. It is, yeah. And you also have +1 reputation here in Griff's Bluff. And these guards, they've seen you a few times by now. At this point, they pretty well know you all. He says, if I were being honest, calls you Sir Edward. Sir Edward, she hasn't exactly been welcome in court for some time now.
I see. Well,
Thank you. Go there. We'd probably.
I sympathize, but we'll do what we can.
Meanwhile, you all in the commandery, there are all these other guards that are off duty. Either attending to other duties or relaxing and eating and drinking. And this is probably on your second day. You're all cleaned up, spiffed up and everything. What is everybody else doing at the commandery?
Helmer's just making sure he's looking okay for court.
Yeah, Ratbite, I assume he'd be... Oh, he's still wary about being around all these, official people, but he's just trying to look impressive.
All right.
Although, he may ask the dwarves trying to see how those dwarves are fitting in, I guess. It's only been a day or so.
Yeah, it's been 2 days. One of the guards says, well, they're tough people, but that forest has something wrong with it. So those dwarves, they don't have any work to do right now. I think we'll have to send them off at some point. There's no work here. as there's no apples. We already have people that are pig keepers. We don't need any more of those.
How long do you suppose they have before you have to tell them to move on?
Wait, were you gonna say something, Lane?
I was just no. That's too bad. I have some ideas, maybe, but that's nothing for the guards to worry about.
And I'm sorry. What did you say, Edward?
Just wondering how long they have before they need to move on.
Well, funds are already getting tight. The pilgrim traffic has been spooked with all the goblins. At this, Tharnlin says he's sort of like, even if he, maybe wouldn't even exactly see these as his people anymore, you can tell he's getting upset, and he says, "Yeah, about that. When do you think you'd be getting around to taking care of those goblins anyways?" And the guards start to look at each other as, they've been insulted.
Thornlin, my friend, it's most likely going to end up falling to us.
I'm sure they're right on top of it, right, guys? Right? Yeah, I mean, bunch of trapping guards like you. It's just a matter of time before those roads are cleared, I'm sure, right? Mm-hmm.
They kind of look uncomfortable, and you see one of them whisper in the ear of another one.
Oh.
Roll for hear noise.
Could I? I don't know.
I think Alara could, because she's an elf. Because she has elf ears.
Now imagining the guy like standing there uncomfortable, leaning in. I have to use the bathroom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Birdie, if you want, you can roll a 2 and 6 chance to be able to hear what's going on.
2 and 6. So let's see. I'm trying to remember how to do that.
It's a D6.
So just a D6. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because you're an elf, you're able to hear what he's whispering. He says to one of the guards, he says, "Just like that other group that they sent to the goblins to their death."
Am I able to kind of lean over and whisper to my group without the guards hearing?
Sure.
Probably with Sir. Sounds like we're the second ones to arrive for that kind of thing, and the first group didn't make it.
Oh no! Would those be the guys that I said should totally go out there and?
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
Meanwhile, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
I was just like, yeah, it's just, I mean, us and a bunch of and some hobbits and a dwarf managed to take out some of them goblins. I'm sure you guys would be fine. Strapping lads like yourselves, yeah.
Meanwhile, panning back to Edward. Edward, you're talking to this lieutenant. The lieutenant is assuring you that they'll be able to go. Sister Greta has left town with a group of guards and escort to the west. He says, "Of course, we'll announce your deeds to the court, and if you don't mind me saying, sir, there's already you and your companions." Quite a bit of rumors flying. They've reached the ears of the court, anyways. From what is the name of the town again? From Western Ale.
Well, that's a good thing. The reputation is good.
I think so. Trying to tell them about Brandonsford might be difficult. I think most people at the court hadn't even heard of it anymore. Very few of us, very few people from the bluff, from the Vale ever travel north into the foothills of the mountains anymore.
Well, that is our key goal. is trying to tell people about Brandonsford. That's the entire purpose. We took on the goblin work with no pay. So I hope it carries weight. I'm relying on you, my good sir, to impart the importance of the risk we took and the importance that apparently has had for the Vale.
Okay, and it's not maybe ever that as important a hobbit as the mayor of the Shires, I believe. Is that what he is? Is gracing Griff with his presence?
He was the Thane.
So the Thane, that's right.
The Thane of Brandonsford, yeah.
It only even occurs at once in a generation that even happens, and yet here he is. He should be.
The lieutenant.
Grateful.
Excuse me.
That's so important a hobbit would even come to Griffsloft is an honor enough, and it would only do them justice to pay proper respect, right?
The lieutenant.
I'm sure that won't make Nob awkward at all.
His name is Gannon. He a dark-skinned, thin and short man with long, stringy hair and a beard. He looks at you because his eyes kind of dart around when you say this. Worried, he says, "Wait, a Thane? What is that? Is that some sort of title of their people? What is a Thane?"
It is an appointed position in times of dire emergency. And I guess I glance over at Nob to stop me if I'm wrong.
I imagine that these are kind of two different places and things going on, but if you...
I don't know where Nob is at, but...
eating and drinking, but if you motion Nob over, he's like, yeah, hello. He looks up to this lieutenant, and the lieutenant looks down and he says, excuse me, Master Hobbit, what is a Thane? And then Nob just looks up at him like, what? And then looks at everybody exasperated. You don't know what a Thane is? Have you no Thanes? And he says, well, no, we don't have anything. What is a Thane? And he says, well, a Thane is a military title. It's the commander of the hobbitry, of all of the Commonwealth of hobbits. It's when all hobbits have to unite when there's a great threat. And he looks down and I'm gonna pull a title. Oops, that's not what I wanted. By comparison, I'm gonna guess. He's gonna guess too. He says that would be like a something very, because he mentions an entire, like all of the hobbits. Something like maybe a let's say like maybe Margrave, like a Margrave, like something very high, like for not just the Evening Lands, but if it affected all of the humans of this place, you would say like a Margrave, like a military commander. Well, that's very awkward, to be honest with you. The lieutenant looks at you all. He says, that would mean that he outranks the Baron as far as being a foreign dignitary.
We don't have to go into all this detail. The point is the title of Thane.
The Baron should be...
Oh no, we must go into this detail because this could cause quite a problem. Either we need to not mention that he is a Thane, or we need to let them know that this foreign dignitary is coming.
Well, no, we are the foreign, so we won't mention Thane. We'll just say we're the alderman because the Thane position was temporary and he relinquished it before we left.
I don't know about that. I think he's very important.
Nob pouts
give him
a little
some credit.
Well, if it's going to derail the actual help that we get for Brandonsford, I don't want to muddy those waters.
He's like, oh, well, I guess that's true.
Yeah, because we're going to be depending on the largesse of the Baron, not trying to challenge his position.
Oh, I don't think it's a.
Well, if you'll be to be honest with you all, I think then you may want to be careful about letting this information out. I don't know who you've already told that to, but if it's even presented the idea that you have a foreign dignitary operating within the court that hasn't been announced, that will be seen as a challenge. And besides that,
forget it.
The Baron has enemies. And
Yes. Again, I think to reiterate, let's not muddy the waters. Let's just stick with aldermen of Brandonsford, because that's the truth. I was thinking we could say Thane if it would help. It sounds like it won't, so let's just leave it.
yes, I understand that. I'm just saying that if this gets out, it could be a problem, I think.
There's nothing to get out.
Yes, Brothers in Arms, the title of Thane was unrecognized by you, and so far has not been recognized by anybody else that we've come across in all the Evening Lands. It shouldn't be a concern, so long as you two, don't speak of it in the food hall.
Yes, well, it's a strange enough thing, I think, that it would just pass as rumor-mongering amongst us common soldiery anyways. But what about you? And he points to Alara. I've only scarcely seen elves pass through these lands.
I'm a ranger, attempting to protect people as I can and aiding these fair adventurers on their quest.
I have heard of the Rangers, and I think that many people will have questions for you and take an interest in you, madam. They'll want to know some reassurance that everything is okay in the foothills and in the passes on either side of the mountain. I'm not sure what you could tell them, for even I know that it is not well.
Been some interesting things occurring of late, but it is indeed part of why we seek aid, and again, I am here both as a ranger, but also as one of these fair folk who is simply seeking to aid the hobbits of Brandonford and dwarves and people as well.
Well, I am grateful for what the Rangers have done for us across the generations, but that may be best what you tell someone that takes quite an interest in the details of what is happening on the borderlands. But I'm not sure. There are lots of strange things happening at court. Anyways, I think I myself will be off and prepare for tomorrow. Is there anything else that I can do to help you? This is Lieutenant Gannon says.
You said Knight Commander Felipe is coming too, right?
Yes. In fact, he'll introduce you to the Baron.
Yes. I can't think of anything else, my good man.
In his youth, the Marcher Lord was actually was not a politician or even a noble. He was one of us. So, the Knight Commander's word does carry some weight at court.
Well then, we will lean on that.
Very well.
What is the Knight Commander's position as far as the Pilgrim Road?
It's our duty to secure the roads and protect pilgrims specifically. In fact, that's our duty under the Church of the Thrice Blessed, and he makes the sign.
And are you well manned enough to perform this duty?
No, frankly, not at all.
That's why we had to go.
The rise of the goblin tribes and their, but also the other things that we've seen on the road. And then, of course, there's the looming war with Rebek. We're strained to help the Marcher Lord and the town guard secure the roads, secure the church. There are only maybe 24 of us. Those are several score short of what we would need right now in these times.
Yes, I can see that.
Is there anything else that anybody else wants to know about before, or try to do before the next day, and in particular while you're at the commandery?
I'd like to try to boost the morale of all the men at the commandery by giving them an impromptu show. Hopefully, since we're outside the town limits, I won't get in trouble with the guild.
Yeah, they
just a couple of tunes, nothing super formal. Just not accepting any payment.
Right. Yeah, they love it. There are only a handful in here currently. Most are either actively on duty or on patrol, or etc. Stretched thin, as he said. But the handful, the half dozen or so that are here off duty, they love the performance. And so, okay. Is there, if you don't have any other questions just for the people that will kind of announce you with Sister Greta gone, is there anything else that you want to accomplish in the town? And I forgot to pick a group caller. I think, is it Helmer's turn?
I'm trying to remember. We determined that last week.
I know.
But the order.
Wasn't it Ben?
Let's see.
I think Ben had gone.
I can look at the session results.
It was me, then Birdie, then was that last week?
Yeah, that was last week.
So I think I might have been the time before. I don't know.
Let's see here. I missed it sometimes. So I have 3 sessions ago I have Edward, and then a session and a half or 2 sessions ago I missed it. I don't know. No, here it is. It's Ben. And then Birdie, so now it's Helmer. So you're the...
So it's my turn.
Yep, you're the caller for tonight. And all right, what's the plan the day before? Is there anything else that you want to accomplish before the event itself?
Well, sorry to backtrack. While we were at the night at the commander, like at the church, there was no way to kind of I wanted to ask around, make sure there wasn't any more visits from those red priests since they last vanished.
Yeah,
if she's gone to Rebek, I'm just kind of curious if there's been any more Rebek news since the last time we talked to those red priests.
Yeah, the guards are easily able to tell you that not only has there not been, but the fact that they were there at all was really bizarre and to them completely unacceptable, and good riddance. Like they did not belong there. Like it was utterly bizarre for them to just reveal themselves and show up and be there.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I would in the intervening 3 days, I'd be like, I'm sure everybody would be like, no, that's a terrible idea. But like, should I break into Sister Greta's office or something and see if I can get anything? I'm assuming everybody says no, but just throwing that out there if anybody wants to give it a shot.
I don't know. That there could be some important stuff in there.
Just saying, if that's a thing that somebody thought would be worth doing, I could be convinced.
I mean, Helmer would find it horrible, but if Helmer were standing, a few yards off,
it would mean somebody distracting the guards, and we've been regular features there, but maybe I shouldn't reveal that I'm joining that particular visit to the church. And if somebody was there to say distract the guards, and I were to try to sneak by, get into her office, go through the stuff, make sure they're, for the church, to make sure there's nothing untoward going on. I mean, clearly, that's how he'd spin it to Helmer. It's like, make sure that she's okay and that there's not any problems that,
I mean, Edward's cooperative.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Alara?
How well guarded would it be, seeing that she's not here?
I will say, mechanically, you don't have to worry about it unless something else goes wrong that we don't know yet, including me. But like, mechanically speaking, you don't even have to roll. You being an elven ranger and Ben, you can both sneak into the house and you can make it in there, and the rest of you can capture their attention enough to where that's possible.
If you want to do it while I'm putting on my little
right
a little performance, that might be a good time.
Yeah, and just go through her desk or whatever and see if there's any like notes from the Red Priest or hidden panels in drawers, that sort of thing.
All right. Yeah, you manage to just quickly dash into seeing an opening where they're supposed to be guarding everything, but it's right there near the commander and stuff. So the hobbits and Edward have everyone's attention enough to where you can just sneak past. Alara and Ben, you find the opening to just quickly get inside, and knowing that Sister Greta is not here, you have the run of this place for now. So right now, assuming nothing else happens, like no other complications, it's not a dungeon, nobody else is in, you're confident nobody's in the house, nobody's coming in to search the house or anything right now. The house is yours for now, so you see, in my mind's eye, if I recall, it's sort of separated. It's a house. It's separated into kind of two major rooms. There's a dining area and an audience room, and like a sitting room, and then on the other side there's a private study and a bedroom, and there's a place that with like a, what do you call it, like kitchen, scullery, those kind of things, and they are you can tell they haven't been used in a long time, like that this place could have servants and she hasn't had any. Bless you. Yeah, so you have what do you do? Alara, what do you do?
See, I'm with Ben. He's had experience with thievery before.
Yeah.
I would probably lean over and ask him where would the best places to search be, since we're trying to be quick about it.
Well, I mean, I say we check her study real quick. I assume if she's had any sort of correspondence, it might be there. That would be where she would write messages and probably have sort of a, looking for any sort of writing desk or any like pen and ink kind of set up.
Okay. You all go into the study and there are books everywhere. Books, personal notes, portfolios, journals, lots of things partially written. Some of the things obviously are not, I shouldn't say obviously, they appear to not be just correspondence. Sometimes it looks like she's writing poetry, like she's doing things that, not just writing, for work, as it were. So within all of this stuff, I think you would need to, what are you searching for? And then I think it'll probably be something like a wisdom check.
You said there's lots of books.
Yeah.
Are there any books that either just the look of the book or the title or something would appear to be out of place for the kind of books a person would have, or out of place for the kind of book she has, like one that looks different or not like something she in her station would have?
Yeah, you can roll a wisdom check to see. You're checking the books really fast to see if you can find one that's out of order. Now this will represent a round, right? So you've broken into this place, and getting what you want quickly is ideal. After a certain amount of time, it'll be harder to get out of here, particularly after, I'll say, 3 rounds. That's going to be when his performance ends.
Now, was I wanting above or below?
This is actually, it's below. I'm glad you brought that
Okay,
up,
so I'm
because
good.
I would have forgot. Because I have other games where it's above. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm good then.
Nice. All right. Meanwhile, Ben, what are you I'll reveal what you find, but Ben, what are you searching for?
Yes. I would go towards anything that looks like she had written, like like if she's got a desk or something. And I would look for stuff she's written, and then look for stuff from other people's handwriting to kind of look for something that other, to try and
correspondence.
not,
are you trying to?
Yeah, correspondence, and specifically, what she didn't write, what somebody wrote to her.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Make a wisdom check.
Ooh, my wisdom's not as good as I thought it was. Oh wait, what is my wisdom? I think it's only a 10, so I gotta. Yeah. Okay.
Oof.
Ooh, that's not
Okay.
gonna work.
So I think what's happening is it's just that there's a lot of stuff. A lot of this that you're going through is, hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back.
Imagine you're about to pull a funny-looking little title of a book. Oh, what's this? Unsprechen Kulten? Well, that sounds funny.
As long as they, oh, that's interesting.
I wonder what this has in it. Ah, okay, I'm not going to look at that one
Yes.
anymore.
Is that human skin? What?
Well, now we know what she did with him.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. What did she do with the big pile of skin that we left her?
Don't
not-
want to know.
She said she buried it, but Yeah, how many books can you get out of that?
I've actually been going on a bit of an Evil Dead retrospective recently.
I guess he was bound to turn up eventually.
Oh my, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, that whole conversation has set me off on just giggles now.
So, sorry about that. I
You can see there's a dog, or is that a cat?
Hey, come here. Get over here. Come here.
That's a dog.
Get over here. Get over. Come here.
Pepperoni!
Get over here. Come here.
Oh.
Oh,
So,
Oh,
So fat.
Yeah, he's wide across the chest.
He's what?
He's a little wide across the chest.
Yeah, you're a little wide, aren't you? Wide is a bit generous for you, buddy.
I almost feel like he needs his own little matching wizard cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get him that. Stick it on his head. He's
a sweetie.
No, he's not. He's actually really not at all. So, he's a Chihuahua, and someone did something really diabolical sometime in the past to create those things. And they've plagued humanity ever since. So, anyways.
Kind of like roosters, but the dog version.
Like the Urukai.
Yes.
Crossed orcs with men and breeding an army somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
we've got Chihuahuas.
Part demon, part dog, and yeah, there you go. But small and nervous. Like there's the demon part in him, and then just a whole portion of him is just nervous, and that's it, But anyways.
See, I've always acquainted them more to Reapit Sheep and his little band of ankle slicers. Like you see the grass moving, but and then everyone just falls over.
Maybe that is the mercy built into Chihuahuas, is they're too nervous to actually accomplish anything. I don't know. But anyways, there was a storm today, and he thought he was dying again for the 500th time. But I'm sorry. We came over to Ben. So yeah, there's too many notes and so it's just it's taking a while. That's the problem. But you were saying something. What were you saying before I had to go do baby things?
Was I say something?
Yeah, no, you were saying something like, but okay, that's fine. All right, so yeah,
I don't remember what it was, but if I can't find anything and it gets too much, I might just.
We were talking about book bindings. That was all.
Now I'll tell you, you think, and I'm gonna increase the chance. This is my mechanic for it. Right now, you have a 10% chance that something's going to go wrong, and it's going to increase 10% each round. So you could just go with what you got and get out of here, or you could go more rounds. But meanwhile, back to Alara, you do find a book. You find, and there are two things about this book. One is it does look different, like there are all these like religious books and liturgical books and historical books and books that are matters of office, matters of state, blah, 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 many of which are very boring. And then one has a exotic binding and a strange color to it. So you pull it open, or you pull it off the shelf, and this one has like a soft what do you call the type of book binding where it's not it's not square, it's just sort of bound together like a portfolio. And you take it, and it has this bright red color, and it almost looks like, I'm gonna gross you out, but it almost looks like the red cover almost has veins, which you think are creases, but then you realize it's not a crease. A crease is when it's depressed, right? When it kind of folds. It's popped up in places in lines. And you look at it, and there are all sorts of horrible symbols on the inside of the pages. What strange languages do you speak?
I speak Goblin, Elvish, Common, Lawful.
Okay. Well, it's clear, you don't know what the book says, but it's clear to you that its pages are, speaking of demons.
Ben speaks languages, though, doesn't he?
I can speak anything non-magical with an 80% probability.
Yeah. Now, if you do that, it'll be another round. Now, she could do something else during that round, by the way. But
Can I just take the book with me?
You
Would
could also
anybody
take the
notice if
book-
it was gone?
well,
And have him look at it later.
well, I'll tell you because I think this might answer that question. There's something else you can tell about this book. It's obviously about demons, and the other thing that you can tell is that it was recently added. This was recently added to the library.
We're trying to figure out about that demon with the sword too, and she didn't give us information about him, so this may answer that.
Definitely, like we're taking that, right? As I'm searching for other stuff, I was like,
This seems like something worth taking as long as we don't get caught. No one would know where it went. Just like, oops, it got misplaced.
yeah, maybe.
So, I mean, it would be
Maybe we
clear if Sister Greta were here, she would know that it was lost, because it was recently
She would know
added.
it was lost, but she's not here.
Right.
And since she was gone, she wouldn't know who's been here.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
It would take a while before the investigation caught up with you, if they even managed to.
And for all we know, she's a traitor. I mean, or not. So,
yeah, do you want to, you could keep searching. Laura could do a search, including in the notes, meanwhile Ben tries to figure out what it is or what it says. Or you could just keep searching, or you could just bolt and take the book. Because I know you came in here to try to figure out the correspondence thing to figure out if she's a traitor, right? That's like the goal.
Now, is there another way out of this room if someone were to find us? Or are we literally trapped in here?
There's a window directly into the pigsty.
Could be worse. We've been in sewers.
oh yeah, I was like, that's nothing.
You are in your nice clothes immediately before the.
That's just.
Oh, that would be
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should take that book. But give me just a second. Let me see if I can find something. I'll spend one more round searching, and then I say we get out of here. Maybe if you want to go ahead and head, just hug
Would
that.
increase chances if I listen or am on alert for anybody
That's a good
coming
idea. Yeah.
while he's looking
to
give him
I mean,
time.
unless you want to look, I can find anything. Do you want to see if you can find anything? And
'Cause
you
I already
probably have
found a-
better chance.
But I do have my wisdom is 12, so
Or
I think
yeah,
that's
Ben could be on lookout, and what I'll do is
How
I'll just
about-
treat it like what we do in a dungeon. Whenever someone says they're looking out, you have to tell me where you are. You can't just look out everywhere. But if you tell me where you're looking, you will not be surprised. And there's a chance you'll hear them before they get there, and you can act.
Well, I've got a 1 out of 3 here. No, I don't want to. Yeah, good. So I can't find it. See if you can find anything. I'll look out, and
Okay.
then we're gonna book. How's that?
All right, yeah, Laura, you can try to find these notes, correspondence
Okay.
between Sister Greta, and you don't want a 10% here. Nice, okay. So nothing happens there. Nice, okay. All right. You hit the jackpot. You see all these piles of notes, and then you think, and then you search around under the compartments. Your elven fingers are able to find there's a like a sliding compartment. You pull that out, and you have notes that she's clearly like kind of hidden, but she needs, that is part of something that's going on. These are letters between her and these are letters between her and I'll have to bring up my another setting document for this. I apologize. Give me just a moment, please. Right. These are letters between her and Countess Yestre, the Count of Rebek. They are written in common.
so I can read them.
Yeah.
If I skim them real quick? Or are they the kind that I should just tuck in?
If you skim them, I'll give you. This is fun. If you skim them, I'll give you D6 details, which might be all the details, or it may be only one. But I'll give you D6 details about them. If you take them, then they'll obviously be missing. You know, and you can expect them to start an investigation, because that would be. I mean, imagine her coming back and finding that missing, right? Like, she would be like, every single night off the road, start an investigation now, we're going to figure this out, right? Like, that would be the top priority.
If she's on to us, we got blackmail material too.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Or we could always frame somebody. There's also
we got
that.
options. I say let's take it.
yeah, you could certainly take it.
Or if we discard it, then it won't be on us anymore.
What do you think?
I lean towards take it, get what we can, and then we can always either destroy it later or frame somebody or something.
All right, you find a document protector in this book, and you stuff it into your backpack, so that you know. And then both of you make it to a door, and you wait until you can see that they're paying attention to the performance, and you slip back outside and around towards the back part of where the pigs are, where you're confident no one saw you. You look around, and you look at the road, you look into the trees, and you're confident that no one saw you. I literally checked, and you're certain that no one saw you enter or leave the house.
I think we got what we came for. All right.
We need to get away from here as quickly as possible without attracting attention.
All right. Yeah.
Just in case.
Steve, is there anything else you want to do on the temple grounds?
Nope, Helmer is ready to roll.
All right. Meanwhile, back in Griff's Bluff, and you get back onto that part of town, I assume you want to look at the book and take the time to do that. Where would you do that?
Do we have private quarters to stay at here, or are we...
We've got our inn that we always...
I'm not pulling it out in public. That would be a bad...
We have quarters in the inn.
I think then you all pay for like a week and make a deal. Didn't that happen?
I thought so.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
So we determined that our bard got free room and board. It didn't apply to the rest of us, and we paid for it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he made like a deal for the week, if I recall correctly. But where is... Okay, I guess maybe it's just a picture of the fella. Just for what the, you know, at the inn, you go back to the Lone Watchman Inn to your rooms. And does anybody else speak any strange languages? Or before you make this check? Or have any kind of magic or anything like that? The dwarf, Tharnlin, and the two hobbits do not recognize this text.
Helmer's looking at it. How little bit meta. How fresh is the binding of that?
This is an ancient text.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, but
we were discussing whether our skinned friend may have been bound in the books.
It's not like it's not a witch that had taken the skin and bound the book in flesh recently.
Or grew bound.
But you do, when you realize that there are two things about the book, that it does seem bound in flesh, and it does seem like something is, in an unearthly way, able to keep the flesh from decaying to where it's staying like a binding.
So have you two rapscallions fared your dirty doings? I assume we're all discussing this together.
I had assumed that, but actually I would like to hear how that goes. Like you know, like eventually they leave the commandery and they see you like poking around behind the other side of the pig stall. What do you say to each other?
Helmer didn't know we were over there either, did he?
Helmer and the hobbits and Edward and Tharnlin didn't know what you all were doing.
Hey guys, mission accomplished. I'm not telling you what the mission was.
When you say that, Helmer's like, it just walks off.
Just doing our due diligence, that's all.
Intel recovery.
I mean, I'm eager to see the contents of the letters.
I mean, yeah, but like, what do you tell them? Like, I mean, Ben and Alara, like, I'm thinking
tell them, maybe we skim through these letters and make sure if it's dirt, if it makes her look bad, then we're okay of stealing it, right? Having stolen it. Well, anyway, like I was telling to Helmer, or I was thinking to it, was like, we're just trying to make sure everybody's on the up and up and doing right by the church. So, yeah.
I do find this extremely uncomfortable, but I suppose you do make a point. What did it say?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to stress once again to everybody, this is all said, like, my first reaction when I see what y'all have done is a raised eyebrow and a smirk.
Just want to make sure everybody's on the up and up. Yeah.
Better to ask forgiveness than permission, I say. I just want to remind everybody that as I see it, my, anyway, main duty remains to Brandonsford, and in a larger sense, of course, to Counselor Mudbelt, our old friend, Ben. And so we have no particular allegiance to this Baron, any more than I mean, well, I don't know how you feel about it, Helmer. Of course, you're from here. We're not. But I feel no particular allegiance to the Baron any more than I feel an enmity towards this place, Rebek, though I've been told I should.
Puh.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. If we're going to be stepping into courtly intrigue, we need to know where that we're not putting our foot in a pile that we're on. We want to know what hole we're stepping into, so it only makes sense to really dig around in that hole before we step into it, right?
And it is suspicious that she's made off for Rebek. Now,
right.
One thing I can also say from my own homeland is, if you can do something to avoid a civil war, you should. So perhaps this lady, this sister, whatever she's up to, I hope that it's in service of peace and not mere betrayal. She doesn't strike me as the kind to... But then again, villains that twirl their mustaches are easy to see.
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if the Baron is any better than this lady over Rebek. I've never met her. Stuff I've heard from the Baron is suspect at best. I just want to make sure we know where everybody lies and who we're getting in bed with. So
now let's find out what's in these letters.
Okay, so Alara, you found the letters, so I'll tell you what you see when you read them. These are letters between Countess Yestra and Sister Greta. Some of the letters are old. The old letters are entirely personal, but still kept secret. And they speak of times when Fesselmark was a nice place, when the Evening Lands was part of something grand, and all of the world seemed to have order and purpose and meaning and direction. Everything was set right in its place in those days, it seemed, but they found out that wasn't the case, and there's all this kind of sorrow and longing for times when they were little girls in Pomperberg and other places in Fesselmark outside the Evening Lands. Sister Greta is not from the Evening Lands. She's from Pomperberg, a city far to the west. And when they were children, at some point, they, I guess, were childhood friends. So anyways, there are personal correspondences of trading these grievances of dealing with the complications of life after the War of the Traitor, after the fall of Fesselmark, and, long since the loss of communication with the oracles, decades, nearly a century ago, or a part of a century ago at this point. And there's little sly kind of jokes about the pontiff that, or I don't know what you call, like, I had a name for him, but whatever local bishop, I don't think that's the word I used for them, and how he was really kind of a buffoon and caused a lot of problems, but there was this kind of like implicit joking about that. And then there are surprise letters when Sister Greta is basically required to take charge of the church in the Evening Lands because of what happened with that. You find out that Rebek is actually the seat of power of the Church of the Thrice Blessed, or was until that happened. And ever since, she's been a sort of hierarch in exile in Griff's Bluff. And then there's also little talk on the part of Countess Yestre. Like, she doesn't talk much about what's happening in Rebek until more recent letters. And then you get the sense that they are talking to each other much more about what's happening in Rebek. And you learn, you have letters, so you can use all this in the future. Like, you can go back and you say, what's in the letter about this? And I'll tell you if it's in there, right? But there's you learn a lot about Rebek and what's happening. There's a dwarven criminal gang that runs things in the streets. Rebek has this whole thing about it where it was built on a dwarven stone and used to be a dwarven city before the humans came, and it was part of that old dwarven empire that fell, and then humans took it over, and so some of the dwarves settled there, and they're kind of these like post-dwarven kingdom dwarves that don't act like dwarves anymore, and now they act like criminal, like gangsters. And Rebek is a city that is about to collapse on the inside, and a place of sin and ruin and crime, and there are all these little tiny settlements that are at war, and there's these gang wars and everything. And then she is worried about the goblin raiders to the north, like the goblin riders. She feels like it's destabilizing any hope of trade and any hope of trying to. So you actually kind of have a thing you did for Rebek, and you don't realize it, you know. Lastly, eventually some of the letters express urgency on the part of Sister Greta that war is imminent. And Sister Greta believes that it's a ploy. She believes that, and this is crazy, but Ben, you're right. She did betray Griff's Bluff. In the sense that she reported to their central enemy, right, Countess Yestre, that supposed Rebek spies are being executed in the streets. And Countess Yestre assures her in return that there were no spies, and that they have their own problems and they're barely surviving on their own. And she sent pleas to the Marcher Lord for help and to set their differences aside, and they've gone unheard and all this kind of stuff. And in return, there are these urgent letters from Sister Greta saying, you know, Countess, you have to do something, or Yestre, you have to do something. This war is imminent. If we don't stop this, then everything is lost. And then finally, basically an urgent thing saying, I'm going to come. There are things in the Great Temple, and the what is it called here? Give me a second. It's called Significant Locations, Pagoda of Heart Vision, she calls it. The Grand Temple of the Thrice Blessed. And she says that that there are texts and things that she needs there, and besides that, she's going to come and try to set this matter right, and that she was departing. So, on one hand, she did betray Griff's bluff. She basically gave state secrets and had been talking to Countess Yester the whole time. They seem sincere, though. It seems like she really believes that the Civil War is false and that there's something else going on. And in the last letter, she felt like she had proof that that was the case. And with all urgency, she was coming to Rebek to set this right.
I see. Well, complicated indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how it helps us other than to show us that the Baron is either a manipulator or a fool.
Which I assumed as much as already.
Yes.
I haven't met him yet.
So about that book,
Nope.
Does anybody speaking? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bertie. Sorry.
I was going to say if I pull it out and hand it to Ben, would he be able to read it?
Well, does anybody speak any weird languages that would just possibly know what it says? You know, does anybody have any weird ones? No one else?
No.
Just my general thiefy skills.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, all right, she hands it to you. Would you want to try the check?
Yep,
See if
as
you
long as
know.
and here's where I roll over a 90 again. Just wait. Let's see. See if I jinx myself. No, but too close. But it was under an 80, so hey.
Nice. Okay. This is written in Infernal, or I'm sorry, not in Abyssal. You know, in basically in the tongue of chaos. It is you probably don't want to tell Helmer this, but this is a wildly heretical text because it claims to be from the ancient queens of the old Kingdom of Light, who finally saw the truth. And this is a text that details some of their heretical magic that twisted things toward the end of the fall of the human kingdom. In particular, there are two things that the book talks about. One is this type of magic that was kind of taking over, that was like, they saw it as the key to their power, called anthropomancy. The other thing that is talked about in the text is the ability to banish and summon demons for their service. And it mentions their ability to use a true name of a demon to bind them.
I was like, yeah, Sister Greta had a book on demon summoning and anthropomancy.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
I'm sure it was a recent acquisition given horrible stuff that's happened. But she did seem to know. Did she seem to know about the demon when we told her that he burst out? Like, I'm sure it's nothing.
Do you suppose she acquired it after our little tale that we told her?
Could be. I guess. We'll have to table that for now,
Perhaps.
I think.
Perhaps such a book is safer in the hands of a holy woman than as elsewhere.
I'm sure it's safer with us. We better keep it out of everybody else's hands.
You know, as much as I love all of you, after what happened to Griff's sword, I don't know how we can guarantee such a thing.
Let's not hand it to any nobles, for one thing. That's what I say.
Yes, and we have at least one master thief hounding us.
That would be terrible.
I don't usually do this, but I think to borrow on modern RPGs a little bit, this is something I feel like Helmer has a chance of knowing about. It's like a small chance. So Helmer, if you want, you can make a wisdom check, but at a +2. Okay, so no.
That was me. That was me rolling by accident.
Well, Edward, I was going to say, of course you can make a lore check, and you actually can make...
Of course it fails.
Well, I was going to say, you can make, like, some for specific things. One is for anthropomancy. Another one's for demons. That might be it. I think those are kind of big, grand things that you might know something about from the college.
Alright, well, I failed the first one, so let's try the demon.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, Elmer is blissfully ignorant.
Nice.
Hey, look at there.
Okay. Well, here are some things that you would know having studied in the College of Lore. The College of Lore, or the Bards of Lore, is this, like, really high magic, like, super high fantasy place with this really bizarre tower. Some of these towers that you've heard about, have they been mentioned? These weird towers? I guess, Alara, I don't know if Alara has mentioned them.
I don't think I mentioned them to the group, but wouldn't this be along the lines of what I talked to the ranger leader about?
Yeah.
The summoning of entities, and things started going haywire, and it started with the church.
Yes. So and that's of no surprise to you because, as I said with the thing I messaged you, this is something your people know. You've been around for probably 600 or 700 or 800 years. Like, you know well enough that, like, the truth of what happened. Yeah. So yeah, that conversation with the ranger captain, that's right. What was I going to say? Well, anyways, so I don't think you all have seen any of these towers or they've been mentioned that I can think of. Has the tower in the north been mentioned at any point?
I don't think so. The only tower that I recall throughout the whole place was the one we went into to get us here in the first place.
Right. Okay. So, yes, there is that tower that you went into. The College of Lore is this bizarre tower. I would compare its shape to a geometric shape that would be impossible to a medieval mind. Like something like one of those giant skyscrapers in Dubai. Like some weird geometric shape kind of thing. And that's what the College of Lore looks like. And then it exists in this place called Wayrim, south of Perrinval City. And anyways, you studied there, Edward, at least for a few years.
A couple years.
Yeah. Okay. So you're very well versed in, like, the history of the Vale itself in recent times. The Vale, you know that there are these big cycles of history. You're supposedly on a fourth one. You know the recent history, which about 100 years ago there was this war called the Second War of the Vale. And the Kingdom of Perrinval kind of reestablished itself at that point. And that was the last big event. There was this big apocalyptic battle. Wait, no, that was the... Yeah, okay. That would actually have been 150 years ago. And anyways, big apocalyptic battle with demons. And there was this demon army that nearly overran the kingdom, and these heroes, like, beat them back and everything. And you also know that, like, I think that this was brought up, like, where are you? Like, you know, that's a question that I don't know. Like, when you went through the portal, where did you end up going literally geographically, right? Like north, south, east, west, up, down, different planet. Where did you go, right? And I think at some point we talked about the suspicion that you probably went to the north, the Northern Vale. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, you mentioned that Perrinval was like a couple thousand miles south or something like that.
Yeah, more like 5,000 miles south. That's across a sea, I think. And anyways, called the Devouring Sea. And the Northern Vale is where the great enemy, the great state enemy of the Kingdom of Perrinval is, called Dameron. Like their major political rival. And I think that some places have even mentioned Dameron at some point. But anyways, you have heard that that was the source of these demonic armies. And that one of the things that the kingdom did in those days in the war is they actually sent agents up to Dameron to stop demons from coming in to reality and coming south. And that they were supposedly successful. So, you heard all these stories about this place where demons arose. I think the connection you're starting to draw is that this is that place.
Well, that's interesting.
I mean, not like literally Griff's Bluff, you know, but more like largely, like, you know, and I'm talking on the scale of, we're talking on the scale of like modern countries, right? Like thousands of miles across, not in the scale of like villages or towns or small polities. We're talking big scale here.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Sister Greta's got some interesting reading habits.
You think you might be able, if someone had magical skill, they could hypothetically summon a demon, bind a demon to their service with this book? Or it could help you figure out how to fight one.
So is there any information in the book that we can decipher that would tell us how to defeat or hold one at bay if, like, say we ran into our lovely winged friend again?
Yes, the two big broad notes here are, well, I'll say 3 notes. Number 1, cut off its ambition. So if there's something that it wants, somehow find a way to, without a doubt, deny it what it wants. And secondly, discover its true name. And then lastly, you can only banish a demon. You cannot kill it. You need to banish it from this existence.
But we could effectively get rid of it that way.
Yeah, so those are kind of 3 things looking at this book, Ben, that you can kind of skim over and see that those are 3 things that you can do with a demon.
I don't guess it gives us any instructions on how to banish a demon, does it? Or that might take more magical skill than I have.
It does seem to imply that there is a great magical skill to it, and that powerful magical users could do that.
So,
and also
maybe
powerful magical items.
So, for further reference, we do have this demon eventually we want to deal with. Well, I say we need to keep this book just for tips after some study. I mean, just in case we recruit some sort of wizard or something at some point, or find some magical items. And this book, rather than turn it back over to Sister Greta, might be useful later. So I think we're the right people to keep it.
Is there anything in any of the letters to do with the blight or the plague or what, or the corruption?
She does mention that the orchards have turned bad. These are recent letters. Something that's really unfortunate is it's not made clear in the letter, which was unfinished and unsent, from Sister Greta to Countess Yestra, that she's headed that way and that she has a solution. So you have that letter, but that letter was not sent. And it's not clear what she thinks that the key to this is.
Okay. I'm more than half of the opinion that we ought to return these letters. But
if she's gone for a while and someone else were to go through, Like, could these not fall into the wrong hands by being in her study?
I mean, I think you make a good point. If anything, I was a little untrust this, except for the whole demon summoning book. I think she needs to explain that. Maybe it could be altruistic motives, but she seems in the right motivation. I'd say. I mean, I was skeptical, but now I think I probably like her more than the Baron, and I think, I don't know, she might need our help.
And if he were to discover these letters, if he were to get any inkling of this, could this not start a civil war? Would it not be better for us to bear the blame for this than her?
Could be better, but even I see no reason to take the blame. No one ever needs to find out about things.
If we don't have to know.
Well, nothing that has occurred is our fault, except for the theft of these letters. In any case, as I said before, we have procured an audience, so
yes,
we need
definitely
to think about Brandon's fort once again. If it turns out we have to go to Blesvik to achieve our goals, so much the better. It seems like we're in a lot better position to achieve our goals if there isn't an active war.
The day
it's
arrives.
A good thing we. Oh yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's a good thing we have these letters and no one else got them before we did. Then that's all I'm saying. And then the day arrives.
The keep. Let's see. You've seen it. It kind of dominates Griff's bluff up at the top of the bluff itself. Commands an impressive view from atop of it of the surrounding lands. It's essentially a castle, a stone castle. I don't know why I'm describing it. You all have been inside of it. You infiltrated it and then jumped into the potty. In this case, you find yourselves in a very eerie position of being invited into the courtyard instead of sneaking across it into the bathroom, or the middens, and you're brought to a large double gate across from where the middens was, which you discover is the grand entrance into Edric's Hall. And in the hall...
Nope. You froze on us there right after the words grand entrance.
After what?
After the grand... I think you said grand entrance something, and then you just froze.
Oh, wow, okay. Man,
Terrible timing.
Yeah, I'm really having some trouble with the internet lately. It just keeps doing that.
Oh yeah, and Foundry disconnected too. It has reconnected, but...
Gosh, it may do that again. I apologize. Okay, so anyways, grand entrance, double doors. This is Lord Edric's Hall. And so you... it's about, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 75 feet from one end to the other end of the hall, separated by dividing walls and entrances for servers and servants to come and go, and then two private doors on the far end on either side, and then a large chair, at the head of it all. As you enter the hall after leaving the courtyard, the first thing is the Knight Commander is actually announced to everyone as they enter. Knight Commander Felipe, and it give his title, Knight Commander in service to the Church of the Thrice Blessed, etc. And the servant of the Holy Oracles, and of the High Oracle, and stuff like that. And then you're brought in, and it's instead the Knight Commander that announces you. And he looks at you, and because you mentioned this, he says, the Elderman of Brandonsford, Edward, Lord Bin, and Sir Helmer, and Lady Alara of the Black Oak Rangers. Now, this is a very exotic announcement, in case that's not obvious. And everybody kind of like whispers and kind of hushes in it. That changes the tenor of the room. But you come into the room in which you, as far as I can think, other than the Knight Commander, know no one. I'll tell you a few other things that are announced. So you can see if there's anything else that you want to interact with before you're brought before your audience and before you want to see any other audiences. Let's see here. There are 6 other positions that are announced on behalf of the Baron, and you can actually see the Baron at the head of the of all of this. Let's see here. One is the stewardess of House Hillsborough of Griff's Vale. She is announced as Stewardess Presidente, Sage Presidente, and the other one is the cupbearer of the house, who is Natalie oh gosh, I can't pronounce that. Manalo. And then there are 4 other positions announced. The treasure keeper of the house, the marshal, who you haven't met but who you've heard of. It's Sergeant Pris Fourfingers. They don't call her that here, obviously. She's simply called Pris, Marshal Pris, and then the House Chamberlain, and what is it called? The banner bearer of the house. These are all different offices that are announced. In addition to that, other people that are announced as they come in include what would you call it? Sirs and ladies that are peerages. There are people that they control the guilds in the town, including the peerage of the arts. So, anyways,
Well, that gouger,
yeah.
that highway robber.
It seems, yeah, it seems as if the Knight Commander is here representing the church.
Okay.
Of the arts. Oh, you mean the Thieves Guild?
And in the time before you're able to gain an audience, like before the time comes that you present your concerns to the Baron, and I don't know. I imagine this is actually happening sequentially, like multiple concerns are being brought before the court simultaneously. Other people, as there's a crowd of people, they are all interacting with each other and being served food. And in this time, one of the things that's, well, what do you all try to do? Because some people you notice take an interest in you right away, and they start to come to approach you. But before that happens, let's see, is there anything that you want to try to do? Including avoiding being approached.
I am open to learning as much as possible if somebody wants to approach me.
Yeah. Ratbite is, with his nasty scar and weird eyes, might stand out, but he's trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. He's definitely not comfortable around all this prestige. Yes.
Okay. What about you two, Homer and Alara?
Helmer's going to probably find somebody a little closer to his rank and just talk about war stories.
Okay, that would probably be Lieutenant Gannon. Alternately, you could speak to one of the attendants or an aide de camp of the marshal, the night marshal.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. This is one of the knights. So this is not a person in like a religious order, right? He calls himself Sir Portfolio, and he's a flamboyant young man in plate armor and with all sorts of heraldry and accolades. You can tell that he's utterly worthless. But he's an aide de camp to the Knight Marshal. I'll get to Helmer in a second. And then finally Alara. What is Alara doing?
Probably I'm standing there in ranger gear with my head up and probably trying to look formally semi-unapproachable, but paying attention to everything going around me, listening, seeing if I hear anything, but I'm not really super excited to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Alara, because that becomes a problem right away. Basically, everyone in this place surrounds you and wants to talk to the Elven Ranger. Like, this is the coolest thing that these nobles have ever seen in their life. So, like, every single one of them, like a man says, "Oh, excuse me, lady, my name is Montel," and then, like, somebody else is like, no, please, at least allow her a moment, get her something to drink, Montel. No. I wanted to tell you with some urgency, my lady, that I have a special interest in the Black Oak Ruins. You know that my family used to actually have lands in the Wailing Hills. He says this almost conspiratorially, as if knowing something, even being in the Wailing Hills, is like a really weird and exotic thing. And that's where you fight goblins on a daily basis, and everybody's trying to get your attention and talk to you and try to get information about what's happening up there and, how many people you've killed and everything else in the world.
Probably try to be diplomatic and give away as little as possible. I don't want to show details, keep it neutral, kind of like with the one guy who wanted to know about the hills. Be like, oh, it's quite beautiful, and you know what, maybe someday when all things are set right, your family can go and live there once again. Just kind of, I guess, sidetrack from sharing details.
Right. Yeah, try to sidetrack, and then gently evade into... Okay, so this is exhausting work because every single person wants to talk to the Elven Ranger. So this is a degree of success roll. Make a charisma attribute check. This will kind of determine how well that goes. Nice. What's your charisma? 12. Nice. Okay, yeah, you are able to do that. You find that you are essentially hunted in this place by nobles that are thirsty for drama. You find that you have to go from one place to the other, and here it's almost physically tiring to try to get away from these people. And especially emotionally exhausting trying to constantly gently evade all of the invasive questioning and the ignorance. but you're able to do it. Meanwhile, you're also trying to listen to what's going on. You can make a listen check. This will be if you get something really good. If you pass this, you'll get something really, really good. Otherwise, you'll still hear things.
That's a D6.
Yeah, D6 roll low.
Woo!
Nice. Okay, yeah. You hear as you pass by the head of the hall. There's a place. There's a door where there's a staircase. One of the things is you identify the staircase leading up to the Baron's private chambers, which, speaking of thievery, you happen to know is currently vacant. And secondly, nearby, and where you learn this information, is someone else also trying to get information out of his quarters. And it's actually his chamberlain, who is... go ahead.
So I was going to say his chamberlain is trying to steal information from his baron, I guess?
Yeah. I'm going to pan the camera over, and then you can think about what you want to do with that. Meanwhile, Helmer, you're talking to Sir Portfolio, and he's just like, you're trying to get war stories, and you're not going to get any from this guy. This guy is essentially like a house guard, and is more akin to wearing ceremonial armor and doing things like this than anything else. The pretense of courtly chivalry in this place has sort of went by the wayside over past generations. You think about it, this place is kind of isolated, right? So the ability to have like tourneys and like this like knightly culture, this shared martial heritage has sort of decayed, and you sort of have increasingly two classes within the noble class. You've got the nobles and administrators and barristers and people that run things, and then you just have the actual no kidding guards, which and the military, like Pris. Pris, you can see the marshal. She is. They call her Pris Four Fingers, and you can guess why. One of her hands is missing a finger through her duties. So, Anyways, Sir Portfolio, you find not only does he offer you no stories of battle or anything, but he also seems to be completely uninterested in yours, which is a bit new for you lately, because when you went to Westernale, everybody wants to hear about your stories of adventure, but Sir Portfolio seems completely uninterested in that. He instead asks you a lot of questions about why you're at court, what proposition you're planning on providing the Baron, who else you've talked to here, things like that.
Trying to think of how Helmer would. He's not the very secretive type, but he'd probably just. He would just kind of point over at Edward and Ben. Yes, I'm accompanying these two fellows who are seeking aid for their other friend over there. I've been accompanying them in their travels. We've gone through many things that I've brought up. Kind of gives him that side look. But I myself am simply accompanying. This is not quite my area of expertise. And then in order to try to start drawing the conversation away from his questions, I'm going to start telling him little bits of like, oh yes, I followed because, well, you know, we came across this dragon, but I'm gonna make it profoundly boring.
Yeah, that
Like
works.
just
Yeah, that works. He's like, oh yes, okay, and then he like completely. He probably isn't even paying attention right that when you mention the dragon, and then keep going. Yeah, and he just yeah. And instead, then when you point out that you're here with the hobbits, by the way, the hobbits and the dwarf are also surrounded by interested nobles, and they actually kind of love it, and they're talking about dwarven and hobbit stuff just as much and fast as they can, which is their favorite thing to talk about, actually. So they're really having a good time, actually, and Squints is taking to this quite well in his fancy hobbit outfit that he has, and he's drinking quite a bit and just constantly talking about hobbit matters. And it's like the different, how the cabbages were this year versus last year, but is gaining an audience for it, and people are listening to him for like the first time in his life. So, and
in their
anyways,
element.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying they're in their element. That's delightful.
Sir Portfolio, meanwhile, is like, yes, by the way, I see you have some very interesting company, hobbits and dwarves and elves. That is a very interesting company to be kept by one of the Knights of the Holy Order.
Ah, yes, indeed, you are correct. You see, the elves. You see, when we went to the west, and we met the elves. Yes, up in the mountain, and on our way there, you see, we had this horse, a donkey, as a matter of fact.
He starts just kind of like drifting off, yeah. And you manage to like. Eventually, he's like, "Oh, please excuse me. I am so sorry, but it occurs to me that I have to actually attend the Lord Marshal. Will you please forgive me? It is so good to meet you, Sir Elmer."
Yes, you as well. No, I'll walk you towards him. You see this? It was this griffin.
You start just keep trying to tell him war stories. You found like the one person in the kingdom that more than any is like completely uninterested in tales of high adventure. Meanwhile, I'll pan the camera over to Edward. You were approached very early on, in fact, by Lady Elodia herself, the peerage, the guild master. I guess you call like a burgomaster of the fine arts here, and of the arts in general here in Griff's Bluff. She would say in the Vale itself, and she comes up to you and she says, "Is that Edward? Edward of..." And she uses the name, what does everybody think you are? The
Alderman of Brandonsford.
No, that's not what they think you are.
Oh, they think I'm part of the Yesterday's Muse or whatever?
Yesterday's Muse. Yeah, she's like, that is Edward of Yesterday's Muse? And she comes up to you. Yeah.
I bow low.
She bows in return.
My lady, I've heard that association before, but I'm afraid I have to say I am not part of Yesterday's Muse.
Oh, did I mistake you? Please forgive me, sir. I apologize. But you do match the description of that fabulous musician that put on that performance there in the Lone Watchman Inn.
That was I. I cannot deny it.
Oh, then your performance, your troupe, goes by a different name then.
I have not done enough work to correct the record, it seems, but I have no troupe. I merely have my companions, and I gesture towards Knob and all the rest. I play because it brings me joy, and I hope it brings joy to others as well.
She looks over and she says, 2 hobbits, a dwarf, an elf that's overhanging by the by the corner, and she says, "Oh, delightful sideshows, hobbits, dwarves, elves. Oh, it's wonderful. Now, my name is Lady Elodia, and I have heard of your troupe, and I wanted to let you know that my peerage would be happy to sponsor you if you'd be interested in taking on a more full-time arrangement."
Well, my life is not primarily one of playing the lute. Sad to say. I don't know.
Sad to say.
Yes, I don't know how long I'll be staying here in Griff's Bluff, but I have come to like the place, and having an official association would be beneficial, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm very disappointed. In fact, I'd hoped that we could come to some arrangement. I apologize at how you were treated when you came into the city. I want you to know that I found who was responsible for that, and I set that matter aright as much as I could.
Oh, well, that is a joy to hear. I must apologize for my passionate response in the moment. I'm sure it was embarrassing. It came as a surprise because we had just been on our way back from, as we saw it, doing a great service for the town.
Oh, I see. I thought that you were here to put on a performance.
Well, it is a happy coincidence that wherever I happen to land, I tend to sing a song or two. It helps pass the time and brightens everyone's day, I think.
You'll be performing for us today?
Oh my, well, I do have some... I did have some hope of it, but I hadn't dared to think. It's hardly the main reason we're here, though, I must admit. However, I think I can probably combine that purpose with our main purpose. A tale often goes down sweeter with a song. Do you not agree?
I do think so. These have been challenging times for our barony, and so it so happens that our guild often is left unawares sometimes when people travel through, but that won't do. We do want to ensure that our many fine artists we want to make sure that they can feed their families, you understand, and we want to ensure that arts are so properly supported here as you can see, and you look out and you see a city that's actually really Spartan, apart from its like vending stalls selling religious items.
The things you say, they put me in mind of something that you might find quite interesting, my lady.
Oh?
Have you heard of Brandonsford?
Brandonsford? No, I don't think so.
It is a small shire of hobbits. Is it to the northwest, I believe, or is it northeast from here?
She kind of claps with delight like it's a circus show. Like, oh, more hobbits, more hobbits. Oh, that would be wonderful.
It is, I agree. More hobbits is a wonderful thing. Sad to say, my lady, that there may be far less hobbits if this winter arrives and their walls are not repaired. I endeavor to bring a tear to my eye as I begin to relate dramatically the situation, the dire straits that Brandonsford finds itself facing in a few short months.
Wow, my OSR game has betrayed me. See, this is the difference. I had to say, well, actually, I was like, I know how she's going to react, and I'm like, nope, Ross, no, you don't. And and as it turns out, she is heartbroken to hear this, and it rends her heart. And she says, "What can we do? She looks over. She looks over at the cute little hobbits.
Yes. Well, my lady, I've other than playing and having to fight the occasional goblin, I have thought of hardly anything else over these last several days and weeks. that I've been in the region.
She weeps
And-
dramatically. You've gained
Yes.
a small audience of people, like all these rich people, telling them of the poor hobbit peoples.
Yes, but then I also, lady, there in the small shire of Brandonsford, a phenomenon that you might find almost impossible to believe. I wait dramatically. I pause.
Yeah, they all listen. There's like a few people listening to this,
They
this
have
pitch for
they,
charity now.
They have developed within themselves their own dramatic puppeteering group, my lady. The spirit of creativity, the spirit of triumph in the face of adversity, truly knows no bounds and is not to be gauged by mere height and physical stature. For I tell you, my lady, these hobbits can spin a yarn and put on a show as few that I've come across. And sad to say, they're hardly appreciated in their own home.
To perfectly serve your point, being hobbits, Squints and Knob have a certain level of mobility here to get by with things, being so strange. And sure enough, being left to their own devices, it's not long before they're putting on little dances and drinking and carrying on for people and such. And some people think they're even hired to do this.
As you can see, they are a jovial people, my lady, and the truth is, anything that can be done to help their situation is welcome, and the main reason that I'm here, if I may share this detail with you, and I lean in conspiratorially.
Oh, yeah.
We had I don't want to distract from the main point, but there was a large battle within their own shire walls, and the walls themselves were grievously damaged. One of our purposes in our travels is to try to find resources and workmen to rebuild those walls, for the hobbits do not have them as such themselves, but they do have the means of payment, my lady. And many other things that I think they don't know their own value to a place like Griff's Bluff, and Griff's Bluff doesn't know what they have lying just beyond their own borders.
A different person is like, a man is like, I've never heard such a grand tale. Fights against dragons of small people and whole groups of puppeteers flush with gold just asking to pay. And looks around, the people of Griff's Bluff, like they're just enchanted by all this. I'm gonna pause it there. You're getting what you want out of these people because that worked out. They're pretty much sold on this. And anyways, meanwhile, back with Alara, having heard, that the Chamberlain is trying to send somebody up to search the room of the Baron, and that the room is unoccupied. What do you do, meanwhile?
Is Ben close by? Or is he across the room?
I would say Ben is probably like he's mingling and just like inner monologue is, don't rob anybody. Don't steal from anyone. He's like trying.
There's
he sees
such nice
Edward getting a crowd
everywhere.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't even notice.
So,
and it's really hard. He's like just hands in his pockets, and he sees that audience that Edward is getting behind, and it's just he's doing everything he can not to like. Nope, can't set that. That's a bad idea. You can see him almost muttering to himself, but
I'm probably going to scurry over to Ben without trying to look like I'm in a hurry and say, Ben, I might require your expertise. I do believe I found someone attempting your line of work, and doing so quite badly has caught my fascination.
He's happy for the distraction. Just point me to him before I do something I regret in here.
Keep your voice down, but I believe the Chamberlain is attempting to have someone steal from the Baron's private chambers, and he is at it right now. And I kind of tilt with my head in the direction. Would it be best to intercept, or should we wait to see if he gets anything?
I will. Is it possible? Yeah. So, is it possible to sneak away and like? Is there like a hall? I mean, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how the layout would be to the place.
What are you trying to do?
I wanted to get an eye on this, see if I could sneak up on this guy who was trying to break in and got to kind of check out, see what he's doing. I don't want without being seen by the guy who's trying to break in.
I see what you mean.
And so that way, if he does see somebody get in, maybe rob him on the way out. if he's when the guy tries to get back into the crowd. But first, I guess the step would be to see where the guy is trying to break into the office or whatever and kind of scope it out without being seen.
I think I might be able to kind of put you in the keep map and show you where what this would look like. So you came into the courtyard, and then you were brought into kind of like a main area here, and then this is like the hall where all this is happening, and then you all are back here now. Alara, do you want to accompany him? You can kind of, if there is a thiefy thing to do like opening a door, obviously you can do that, but I will not disadvantage either of you if you work together. Because you are an elven ranger, so it makes sense to me.
Maybe you keep a lookout in case anybody tries to slip away from the party that might come in on me.
So
yeah,
keep
an eye on the Chamberlain to make sure that he doesn't.
Yeah, so you can run interference in case anybody seems to they might walk in on me, walking in on the other guy.
The Baron is kind of sitting at the head of it right here, and then this is off a little bit in the shadows. There's a door here, and you know that door leads to a staircase. Now, it is guarded, but being a thief and a ranger, getting past a guard is not an impossible task for you by any means. So
we'll also have to be careful that the Chamberlain doesn't end up framing us for whatever happens.
Yeah, good point.
So,
well, how to get past a guard?
Yeah.
I feel like Alara's you're sneaky, but you also stand out. So we're in a party, right? So it would be harder for Alara to not. I mean, she's getting plenty of attention.
But I don't think a guard would neglect their duty. They're professional. They wouldn't stop.
Well, and I'd have to get pretty close to them, I think, to try charming them. Unless I charm the thief when he comes back.
The range is longer than close for charm. I don't know what it is in OSE.
It's 120 feet. You could be on the other side of the room and do this. The bottom line is that they have a chance to save versus spells. And otherwise...
I can only do it on one person, though, and there's a pair of them.
No,
so would it be better?
There's one guard.
Okay. Do you think it'd be better to charm the guard or to charm the other thief?
I'm not
maybe
there.
we know that he's trying to break out. Maybe we keep an eye out we watch where the thief. Because if the thief got to come back through this way. Like he slipped out from the party, trying to sneak in, and then he'll have to try and sneak back into the party, right? Or not party, but the audience, or whatever you call it. The festivities.
All right, so you all watch to see who's going to try to sneak past this door.
Yeah. Unless
All right.
because I think the risk if we don't really know what we're searching for, and the risk of getting caught for something just on a lark, I think outweigh benefits. But if we can intercept another thief,
All right. Nothing happens. And with that, they announce your audience. The time has come to present your case to the Baron. And with that, we will end the session for the night.